Why single men age better than men in relationships is not a romantic theory, not a bitter cope, and not a viral slogan. It's a quiet pattern that keeps repeating itself in gyms, offices, cafes, and late-night reflections. You see it in the man who walks alone with calm posture and steady eyes. You see it in the man who once looked powerful but now carries stress in his shoulders and fatigue in his face. Somewhere along the way, two lives diverged. One man learned how to stand alone. The other slowly forgot who he was while trying to belong. Most men enter relationships believing they are building something, a future, a legacy, a sense of stability. What they don't realize is that modern relationships are no longer built on balance. They are built on emotional labor, silent expectations, and constant performance. The man becomes the provider, the problem solver, the emotional sponge, and the stabilizer. He absorbs stress so the relationship can feel smooth. He suppresses anger so conflict can be avoided. He delays his own goals so someone else can feel secure. Over time, this invisible weight begins to show up physically. The jaw tightens, sleep gets shorter, motivation fades, testosterone drops, the fire dims. Single men, on the other hand, wake up accountable to themselves alone. Their energy is not negotiated. Their time is not constantly divided. Their decisions are not filtered through emotional politics. They train when they want. They work late without guilt. They eat clean because nobody distracts them from discipline. They rest deeply because no one drains them emotionally before bed. Their nervous system stays calmer. Their routines stay sharper. Their purpose stays central. A man in a relationship often starts living reactively. He adapts to moods. He adjusts plans. He compromises direction. Slowly, his life becomes a response instead of a creation. This is where aging accelerates. Chronic stress is not loud. It is quiet. It hides in small arguments, unmet expectations, subtle disappointments, and constant self-censorship. Cortisol becomes the background music of his life. And cortisol is the fastest way to age a man from the inside out. Single men live differently. They move with intention. They fail fast and recover faster. They have space to think. They experience silence. They sit with discomfort instead of escaping it through emotional negotiations. That silence becomes power. That solitude becomes clarity. While coupled men are often managing dynamics, single men are mastering themselves. There is a biological layer to this that no one likes to talk about. When a man feels respected, autonomous, and purpose-driven, his hormonal profile reflects it. Higher testosterone, better sleep, stronger immune response, faster muscle recovery, clearer thinking. When a man feels constantly evaluated, emotionally taxed, or subtly controlled, his body shifts into survival mode. Testosterone declines, fat accumulates, energy drops, his face changes, his posture collapses. He doesn't just age, he erodes. Relationships used to reward masculine stability. Today they often punish it. A man who leads is labeled controlling. A man who sets boundaries is called cold. A man who focuses on his mission is accused of emotional distance. So many men soften themselves to stay accepted. They become agreeable. They become predictable. They become safe. And safety over time kills polarity. Once polarity dies, desire fades. Once desire fades, resentment grows. Once resentment grows, stress becomes permanent. Single men don't experience this loop. They don't negotiate attraction. They don't manage emotional ecosystems. They don't carry silent contracts. They don't absorb disappointment that isn't theirs. They wake up with one priority: progress. That progress compounds. They lift heavier each year. They learn more. They sharpen skills. They invest money. They build networks. They explore ideas. They become interesting. Their confidence becomes internal instead of approval-based. While many partnered men are maintaining equilibrium, single men are expanding capacity. A relationship often freezes a man in time. He becomes the version of himself that entered the relationship. Growth slows because growth threatens stability. Change creates friction, so he stays the same. Meanwhile, the single man is forced to evolve. Every rejection teaches him something. Every failure hardens him. Every lonely night deepens him. He becomes layered, experienced, grounded. People think loneliness weakens men. It does. Avoided loneliness weakens men. Embraced loneliness builds monsters in the best sense of the word. Monsters of discipline, monsters of resilience, monsters of emotional control. Look closely at men who age well. They walk slower, they speak less. Their eyes don't chase validation. Their presence feels dense. These men learn to sit with themselves. They didn't outsource their identity to a relationship. They didn't rely on someone else to regulate their emotions. They built internal structure. Men in relationships often outsource meaning. Their happiness becomes dependent on harmony. Their self-worth becomes tied to being needed. When that need fades, so does their sense of purpose. This creates anxiety. Anxiety creates aging. Single men build meaning vertically, through goals, through mastery, through solitude, through struggle. Their happiness comes from competence, not comfort. Another uncomfortable truth is that many modern relationships subtly feminize men. Not intentionally, systemically. Men are encouraged to express vulnerability without boundaries, to compromise ambition for emotional availability, to prioritize feelings over direction. Over time, this chips away at masculine edge. The single man keeps his edge sharp because he has to. Nobody is coming to save him. That pressure keeps him alive. Single men also move more. They travel, they change environments, they seek novelty. New environments stimulate dopamine and neuroplasticity. Their brains stay young. Their curiosity stays active. Men locked into routine relationship structures often become stagnant. Same conversations, same problems, same patterns. Stagnation is aging. And here is the part nobody talks about honestly. Many men in relationships stop being chosen and start being tolerated. Desire is replaced by obligation. Intimacy becomes scheduled. Compliments disappear. This silent emotional starvation drains a man faster than physical labor ever could. Single men may lack intimacy at times, but they don't live in emotional ambiguity. They don't lie to themselves about attraction. They face reality directly. That honesty keeps them sharp. This doesn't mean relationships are evil. It means most men enter them unprepared. They bring boy psychology into adult dynamics. They seek comfort instead of growth. They seek validation instead of mastery, and comfort accelerates decay. A man who stays single by choice is not running away. He is investing inward. He is building his body, his mind, his finances, and his emotional regulation. He is becoming dangerous in the quiet way. He is aging like stone, not fruit. Fruit looks good early, then it rots. Stone takes time, then it lasts forever. The single man becomes calmer with age. His standards rise, his reactions slow, his confidence becomes quiet. He stops explaining himself. He stops chasing attention. He starts choosing environments that respect him. Meanwhile, many partnered men look older than their years because their nervous systems never rest. They are always adjusting, accommodating, performing, and suppressing. Single men learn to be still. Stillness is power. Stillness lowers cortisol. Stillness preserves youth. Stillness sharpens instinct. And instinct keeps a man alive. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. A man who belongs to himself ages better than a man who belongs to expectations. A man who builds his own structure stays strong longer than a man who lives inside someone else's emotional architecture. A man who walks alone with purpose outlives a man who walks together without direction. This is not about avoiding love. It's about becoming complete before you share yourself. Most men skip that step. They enter relationships unfinished, and unfinished men deteriorate faster. Single men who commit to self-mastery don't just age better physically. They age better spiritually. They become harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to break. They don't rush. They don't beg. They don't collapse when things fall apart. They rebuild. Quietly, relentlessly. And that is why, years later when paths cross again, one man looks tired and hollow, while the other looks grounded and unshakable. Not because he avoided relationships, but because he learned how to stand alone first.